Hey everybody, welcome to Philosophy on the Couch. I'm your host, Jordan.
And I'm your host, Ryan. Today we talk about your latest Netflix recommendation, artificial intelligence, when to stop pushing your spouse's buttons, and at what age do you find dad jokes amusing?
Let's philosophize. So this week, Ryan, as you know, and hopefully the listeners know, I have chickens.
Mm.
And
Wait, did you say you have chickens or you are chicken?
I have chickens.
Okay.
More so. But I mean, maybe both are true. But I have chickens, and they have gotten very brave lately.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is they have started to fly the coop, quite literally. And today in particular, 4 of the chickens were frequently up on our patio right next to the house.
Yeah. We've been letting our chickens free range, and they've been getting on my parents' deck
Okay.
and pooping on it.
Yep.
So it's coming for you too.
Yeah, I found a couple little turds on the patio. And yeah, I don't know if those chickens will make it.
Yeah?
One of them is a rooster, and we have 3. So
Get rid of a rooster.
yeah, it's unfortunate though.
Put
because
it on the table.
It's unfortunate because he's my favorite of the 3 roosters. He has the most like personality, and he is definitely the best looking.
Sure.
The other 2 are Rhode Island Reds, and he's a mix between like a Silky and some kind of Orpington or something like that. So he's like mostly gray, but he's got some very like auburn spots on his wings. He's actually pretty attractive looking chicken.
All right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's kind of sad.
It is.
What do the kids think about that?
So he will chase, and it's funny because he'll fluff up his feathers to try and make himself look bigger.
Yeah.
And then he'll like do this like little sidestep motion as when he gets within like a foot or 2 of you.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm the alpha here, even
Yeah.
though he's a chicken. And then, I mean, he has jumped at and kind of pecked at the boys a couple times. And I just tell him, just poke him back, and he'll learn that he's not the top of the pecking order.
That's a pretty distinct memory I have as a kid growing up, was when my grandparents had chickens.
Yeah.
And I would go out into the coop with my grandma when she was getting eggs. And so I went out there once, and there was a big black rooster that she had. So I don't know what kind it was.
Okay.
I have no idea. I vaguely remember this. I had to be like 3, maybe 4.
So like 80 years ago.
So funny. No. But yeah, went out there one time with her, and it was kind of a mean rooster.
Yeah.
Had some attitude issues, and got in there. She's picking eggs. I'm standing there, and this giant rooster comes, just starts tearing at my legs, scratching me, everything. And so then I remember, and I didn't connect the dots until I got older.
Sure.
But my next vague memory of my childhood during that time was watching chickens get butchered, and then seeing the process of them getting processed.
Sure.
After that, like cleaning them and cutting them down and freezing them, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so it's weird, but I didn't connect those 2 dots until way later in life that, that was why they got rid of those chickens. And it was time.
Yep.
So.
Yep. We unfortunately did just remove one from our flock. It was crooked beak.
Oh.
So every now and again with chickens, you'll get one that has it's a genetic thing, and their beaks won't line up straight. You'll normally get the bottom one, and it shoots off either to the left or the right quite badly. And then they end up having a hard time eating and whatnot. And
sure.
She was a great chicken, but we picked her up the one day, and she didn't have the best quality of life.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have the time to commit to like spoon feeding her every day and stuff like that. 'Cause we've talked to some people who have had them, and like that's what it takes to
Sure.
give them a decent quality of life. And so,
And even then, I mean,
yeah,
it's still not going to be the
it's
same.
not the same. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Because like we'll throw, like chunks of watermelon or corn on the cob and,
Mhm.
Whatever our leftover scraps that are good for chickens, we'll throw them in there. And she never got any of it. She like her beak just wouldn't allow it. So
Sure.
yeah,
That's tough.
it is. It stinks.
Yeah.
Because she was definitely one of the nice ones, but
Hmm.
that's okay. It is what it is. They're chickens and
Right.
life goes on. So,
Right. Yeah. You do what you can. Take
Yep.
the best possible care of them that you can, but sometimes,
yep.
yeah. Huh. Well, we still have all of ours. Got
Okay.
18.
Yeah.
One did end up being a rooster. And so we're looking to rehome a rooster.
Oh.
So I already offered it to you, Jordan.
Yeah, I've got
You
3.
You
I'm
didn't
good.
want another. Yeah, I think once I can get into some land,
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to decide whether we're gonna raise some cattle or pigs next.
Nice.
How do you feel about goats?
I'm mixed.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you going to do them for milk as well?
maybe. Usually when I look at a breed, I look for a dual purpose.
Sure.
So milk and or meat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. Well, I think it's a lot of work because we had some friends who have goats and they
Mhm.
also, they milk them and then they, meat as well. But
Sure.
it's a lot of work. I know she's out there at least once a day milking them. And
Yeah.
that's more than I'm willing to put in for them.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So I'm curious if you guys listening, we've talked about sustainability before. We're talking about what we're doing just in our personal lives with that sort of a thing.
mm-hmm.
Have any of you like jumped on the wagon of, hey, I think I'm going to try some of this stuff, whether it's just foraging or it's, hey, I'm going to buy some chickens or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anybody done something, crazy and went out and bought yourself some chickens? I would like to hear about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too. No
it's
doubt.
It's a good experience and it's good. And honestly, there's so much information out there to help you now
Yeah.
on the internet. I mean, it's crazy and you can't take everything,
Sure.
as
Grain of salt.
true, but that's the beauty of it is you can look at different things. And a lot of this stuff, people aren't usually trying to mislead you, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely not.
So a lot of different ways you can get involved with that. And one other thing that's interesting when I talk about all this stuff out on the internet is going to be, we had that little bit of conversation about social media.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to just loop that back into our conversation just a little bit because this last week, Liz and I got to sit down and we chose something on Netflix that isn't our usual. It was
Okay.
sort of, it wasn't that fun, get away from it kind of a feel, but it was more like a documentary style
Okay.
that we
Sure.
decided to take a peek at. And we ended up watching, it's called The Social Dilemma,
Okay.
and highly recommend it.
Is it a docu-series or just a documentary?
Just a single
Okay.
hour and a half.
Yep.
I think it is. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
It takes some of the things we were talking about and it touches on that, but it expands it even further.
Okay.
And these are people, like the people they have talking about the issue are actually people who were in this industry and helped build it. So you're talking about former employees at Google. You're talking former Facebook employees, things like that. One of them was the guy who helped develop the like button on Facebook. And so they get into these
Interesting.
topics about why it was kind of created
Sure.
and then the monster they helped create.
right.
And it goes into details that like we didn't even get close to talking about on the podcast.
Sure.
It's crazy. You really should watch this, and it gives you, I was pretty much, I got off of social media and I was kind of like, not that keen on it. But after you watch this,
Yeah.
it gives you even more an insight into the scale that this has affected society.
Sure.
So highly recommend it. That's my little
Okay.
plug for the podcast this week is, hey, check out The Social Dilemma because it ties into everything we talked about a number of episodes ago when we touched on social media.
Yeah, and that being said, if you've already watched it, hit us up on on our social media on Twitter and Instagram at philosophyotc or the email philosophyotc@gmail.com.
Yeah, do it. Not because we're trying to manipulate you,
No.
but because we're all in this together in the podcast.
Yeah. We value
Me, Jordan, you.
Yeah, we value your opinion and want you to be a part of it. So
Right. Yeah. One thing they touch on in here
uh-huh.
a little bit is artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And
sure.
so they're bringing it up in the context of when they are developing algorithms to basically extract data and build a profile on us.
Yeah. And to give you better recommendations on things that
well,
you may like.
Better recommendations.
Right.
That's, I mean,
yes.
debatable, right?
More suited to what you've already watched.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
Those different things. So when they're doing that with the AI,
Yep.
essentially part of what they're doing is it's not so much the AI we think of when we're thinking, you know, Hollywood movies and things like that.
Right.
It's not that it's actively taking over the world.
Right. Robots coming into life and having a conscience and
Right.
yeah.
But they do argue that it is a little bit out of hand based off of what we have programmed it to do. So they take these algorithms and they have artificial intelligence that creates these algorithms to keep going and pulling more data and being more efficient at getting your data and things like that. And so they argue that they have created a little bit of a monster, but they say at the same time, this is where it gets away from the Hollywood images. It's at our fingertips to control this and regulate it.
Right.
We just aren't doing that. And so, but AI, that gets me thinking, you know, the whole Hollywood side of it.
Yep.
Is that a possibility, Jordan?
I don't know. It's so hard because we don't know what machines are going to do. I think, you know what I mean? Especially if they do achieve some form of conscience, right? And they can really differentiate that they are different. And I don't know. I don't think so.
Can a conscience be programmed?
Not really. I don't think so. Because it's an awareness that is so, I don't know. I just don't think so. Because to go along with that, you also need to have some kind of emotions, which I know there have been people and, you know, laboratories might not be the right word, but people have engineered and programmed emotions into AIs and things like that. But I don't think it's nearly as complex as a human is.
Sure. It always has. I mean, so then let's take a step back, actually, and let me throw some Sam Harris at you.
Okay.
So Sam Harris gets into talking about, you know, he would argue we don't have free will based off of we're essentially a programmed being that is only reacting to stimuli, and we're kind of like programmed on how we're going to react to it. So everything is a domino effect, whatever. So is it
I don't know.
What's conscience then?
I don't agree with that. Because at what point do you say then like something has free will? What is it then? If we are just following, like, yeah, we can make maybe some decisions, but if decision making isn't free will, what is?
Well, he would say there isn't.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying. In his opinion, what is free will? Nothing ever has had free will. There is no such thing as free will.
Yep, that's what he would say. At least my understanding.
Sure. I mean, from that perspective, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
At its base.
Well, and the reason I bring it up is because it kind of turns us into that artificial intelligence.
Sure.
You know, because we're just a programmed, essentially.
Sure.
We react to stimuli and we have no consciousness.
Sure.
But.
Sure. I still don't particularly agree with that. By the way, Who is Sam Harris?
So Sam Harris, he's a widely known philosopher, neuroscientist, author. He debates a lot, goes around and has those big picture conversations.
Okay.
Typically stemming from that there is no free will,
Sure.
there's no God kind of a situation,
Okay.
where he doesn't usually avoid having conversations of morality.
Okay.
He just brings morality he tries to pull morality. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He tries to pull morality out of different things that are it's I don't know. In my opinion, it's hard to just grab morality objectively without having it subjective to a source.
Sure.
So
Right.
I don't know. But he's widely known. I only know him because he and Jordan Peterson debate sometimes. So
Okay. I obviously opposite ends of the
yep.
debate spectrum.
Yeah, and they'll usually try to find they'll be able to agree on some things. And a lot of times, I mean,
Sure.
that's right. That's what conversations end up leading people to, I think, is they're looking at a lot of different reasoning behind
Mhm.
where they stand.
Right.
They can find agreement in certain areas, but they're coming to different conclusions, or they're even coming to the same conclusions, but differently. And so
Yeah.
they come to that conclusion from different perspectives, which
Sure.
tends to change the outcome of what that decision means or what that topic means.
Yeah.
So they're both interesting, both super smart.
Sure.
I don't tend to agree with Sam Harris on the vast majority of what he's talking about.
Okay.
I agree with you more on the side of, there's something to free will and consciousness and
Yeah.
those things that I don't feel like we're just a pre-programmed,
Right.
you know.
But that's what an AI would say.
Psych, I'm actually artificial intelligence.
Hmm?
They didn't do a great job, but I don't know. I don't see it going. I agree with you. I don't see it going to that crazy extent, but I think that it's got potential to really screw with a lot of things. I
Yeah.
don't see it something necessarily that can get beyond our control
Okay.
per se, at least from the perspective that it becomes an entity that's out to destroy the world. It might be something that it's just pulling everybody's information. So going back to the social dilemma part of it, it just pulls everybody's information
Sure.
and it just continues to do that.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, we can't, like, it's just pulling information and it's programmed itself to
Right.
continue to do that. And we can shut it off, but we can't have, we can't repair damage that was done, obviously, or things like that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like once it's taken information and put it somewhere, it's going to be.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird in your mind? I know they've said things we post on the internet, they exist forever on the internet. Is that
Yeah.
a weird thought?
I don't think it's weird, but I think it should probably make a lot more people a lot more wary of what they
Sure.
put online. And I mean, you can take that either way, really, in the sense that, you can either say, oh, well, you posted those, you made some mistakes and you posted some stupid stuff you shouldn't have posted, right? Like that's one route. But then just also, if more along the unawares side of things, where it's like, oh, I didn't realize that, posting my picture with me at this specific restaurant or something could potentially, set me up in a bad situation. Because, I mean, how many people add whoever on Facebook or their social media, right? And, eventually people, whether they're using some kind of algorithm and bot to figure it out for them, or they just pay attention to where you're doing or where you are and what you're doing. And then, I mean, I know that sounds like a paranoid kind of train of thought, right? Like, oh man, everyone's out to get me, or that guy around the like random stranger on the internet. But I mean, especially if you are, somebody who has a lot of followers, or you're, an
Mhm.
influencer, or, I mean, and not even, it doesn't even have to be that, you could just be, you know, the average person,
Mhm.
but it only takes one creeper
Mhm.
to lead
Yeah.
to some really unfortunate situations. And like I said, I think the information that we put out there, I mean, if you're geotagging everything you post, I mean, I personally would recommend maybe not doing that. Like, regardless of whether you think you have anybody following you that would want to do something bad or not. Why does it matter if, your 800 friends know exactly where you are at all times? Do you want that? I mean, I personally don't, for numerous reasons.
Mhm.
So, I don't know.
And
Kind of,
if you watch The Social Dilemma, you
yep.
might find some reasons of your own.
Yeah. And I know that it kind of sounds like maybe paranoid or something like that, but I mean, that's why I'm really not on social media a ton.
Mhm.
I do it for the podcast, and that's it.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to me. And my data is one of the few things that I have any kind of semblance of control over. So I want to, and that might make me sound like a control freak or something, but I don't know.
But you would think that AI will continue to be used in that capacity. Are there
Absolutely.
what do you think future holds for artificial intelligence? How is it going to be used? Is it going to continue to just increase in how we're using it?
I think so. So, I mean, kind of a offshoot, but has relevance here. TikTok
Mhm.
has one of like the best algorithms available. I mean, that's why several companies tried to snatch it up
Sure.
when, I mean, this was recent. This was in the past week.
Yep.
TikTok was going to be shut down. That was going to be it for TikTok in America.
Yep.
But then I believe it was Walmart
Walmart
and
and
Oracle.
yep.
They bought 20% of it or something like that. And
Mhm.
so it could remain in the States because they'll have servers here. That's a whole huge thing that, just look it up on YouTube. There's tons of people who talk about it and can give you good information.
And bad information.
There's probably tons of bad information as well. But I mean,
No, you come to this podcast for that.
uh, but yeah, so I mean, so TikTok had a great algorithm, or it has one, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, that's why a lot of companies are trying to buy it up, because their AI was super good at giving you the things that you would enjoy seeing, and therefore
Mm.
keep you on it, and more ads, more revenue, more data on you, which for TikTok is being sent to China. So that's your own choice. That's
Yeah.
just know that it's going to China, and China has the ability to, their government has the right, or, to just
Use
take,
it
to
how they
take,
want.
well, and to take it, right?
Yeah.
They can go to TikTok and be like, hey, I can't remember the name of the company that owns it, and I feel dumb because I should know, but they can go to them and be like, hey, give us that information, and they have to give it to them. It's not, there's no way around it.
There's no due process
Yeah,
with that or anything. It's just if they
exactly.
want it, they can take it.
Yep. It's
Yeah,
like,
which
oh,
I'm sure they want it.
yeah, of course they do.
Yeah. And this gets into, whatever you feel about anything that's happened in past elections and things like that.
Oh, absolutely.
There are people who are trying to cause unrest and dissension in our democracy and how we do that,
Yeah.
and that's not something that I'm choosing one side or the other on.
Right.
That's just the reality of a new era of how politics are played on a global scale.
Right.
So, yeah, a lot of moving pieces there, but it's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, all that being said, do I think AI is going to continue? Absolutely. And I think algorithms are only going to get better. and AI is only going to make their, to strengthen social media side or advertisements side.
What do you think? So let's move away from the
Sure.
private sector side of it.
Okay.
What do you think AI will be used for, like in military purposes?
I don't know. Do you have a thought? And I
No,
can
no,
expand?
that was just an actual
Okay.
question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a place for it?
I'm sure there is, and I'm sure AI is being used in tons of stuff that I just don't realize, or things that come to mind right now. And again, yeah, it's not like AI of Hollywood where there's sentient
Right.
robots that are walking
Right.
around, because I don't think it's not that. But
So, do you think that, say, 100 years from now, possible?
Sure,
50 years from now,
maybe.
25 years from now, I could see that. I'm just going off of quotes from The Office right now. So, anybody with me with Jim asking Dwight about when the world's gonna end because Dwight was eating his leftover food. So he stores up his food, and then he's always got something to eat because once a year he goes through and gets rid of his old food and replaces it with the new stuff, his canned goods. And so he just went on, and Jim would say, well, how about next week? That could be. How about a month from now? I could see that. How about a year from now? That's possible. How about 2 years from now? That's a possibility. And it just keeps going on and on. So
That's
sorry.
funny.
I hope everybody rode that Office trip with me, because props to you if you're Office fans.
That's funny. Yeah, I haven't seen it in its
Sorry.
entirety.
We need to shut this down. You're going to have to watch it.
Okay. No, probably not.
Oh, man. So disappointed.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. I'll forgive you.
Yay.
But anyway, sorry. Threw us way off there.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how long it'll be before something like Hollywood style comes along.
Mhm.
I mean, it's so hard to say, because I think there's I mean, this sounds dumb, but there's an equally good chance that something crazy will happen within the next 6 months. That will be some crazy technological breakthrough that allows something like that to happen.
Sure.
I think it's an equal chance that could happen, that it won't happen.
Right.
And, I mean, it's, of course, right, 50-50. Like, yeah, sure, something could happen.
Could or it couldn't.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah. So I know that's...
Well, at least you're 100% right on that situation then.
Thank you.
But yeah, I don't know. Big topic, because there's a lot of implications to that too.
Right.
And
well, and a lot of applications too. It's not just social media. It's not just Hollywood.
right.
I mean, I'm sure AI is used in so much more than we realize. It's just, yeah. What is it used in, and how is it used?
So if you know the answer to that, let us know.
Yeah, right on in.
We'll tell people, unless it's a secret, then tell us it's a secret and we won't tell anybody. We can keep secrets.
Yeah, classified spillage, that's cool.
Yeah. And we're
No
just
big
using
deal.
Gmail.
Yeah.
That's the best place to do it.
It's encrypted.
Super.
So I kind of want to get back to the Netflix, because you brought that up, right? With the social dilemma.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be just Netflix. It can be any of the streaming services or even TV. But are there any particular shows that you've watched within the past 6 months or so, give or take, maybe, that, you were like, yeah, this is solid, people should watch this?
Yeah. One in particular that I think of, The Social Dilemma.
Wow. So this is one you've already commented on. Perfect.
It's tough. Right now, Liz and I are kind of recycling some stuff we've watched before. It's not on Netflix. It's on
Okay.
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Psych. Just a
Okay.
classic. Entertaining. Oh, it's boring to you, Jordan?
I don't know. I've never watched it.
Okay.
But I'm going to assume that it is. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's low key, but
Okay.
it's funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. So I'm definitely very, very particular about what I watch. So that limits us, Lauren and I, to what we watch.
You mean you're picky?
Very picky. Yeah. I mean, that's why I said particular.
There's a slight difference.
Eh, we'll call him A, we'll call him B. Uh, I am not a huge fan of shows that are more than a half an hour. Generally speaking, I know. So that limits me
Pretty much everything.
vastly. Yeah, I know. I know it does. And I'll admit that is a potential shortcoming of mine.
How's your wife feel about that?
She gets super annoyed.
I bet she does.
Yeah, super annoyed. But one that I found, I mean, there's a few, but one that I found that I really enjoyed and had no problems at all sticking with was The Expanse on Amazon Prime. And it's awesome. So good.
What's it about?
It's about humanity, and they have expanded to colonize Mars and an outer like asteroid belt.
Okay.
And it's kind of the story of a few particular characters. Of course, you know, you can't just focus on the entirety of humanity. It's just too broad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it focuses on a, you know, few people and their adventures, which I know I'm not doing it justice, but it's a sci-fi, you know, action adventure thriller
Mm-hmm.
type show. And it's good.
But enough action and enough storyline that keeps you.
Yeah. And I will
Engaged.
say I'm fairly particular on space, like sci-fi in general, because of my job in the Air Force was,
Sure.
you know, which was space systems. So a lot of space stuff, I'm just like, it seems cringy. Whereas
Battlestar Galactica. Yay or nay?
I haven't watched it.
Then you can't give an answer. It's terrible.
Okay.
So much for Space Guy.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
So I don't know. You know, there's certain movies that I maybe really liked in the past that I don't like as much now, or, you know, I don't want to call them out because
Call them out. Just do it.
they're fine. No, I'm not going to. So the show Space Force with Steve Carell,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I've only watched one episode,
Mm-hmm.
so I can't judge too greatly. But I think they actually did an okay job.
Really?
Yeah,
Because I did not find it entertaining at all.
that's fair. So it's funny to me because part of it takes place at Cheyenne Mountain, which is an actual place in Colorado Springs. It's an actual military installation. I've been there. I've been inside it. It's definitely not like what it's portrayed in the show. But because some of the stuff that they portray in the show is so over the top and ridiculous, it's funny. Whereas like when movies or shows try to get things right, or they try to make it real, and then it's just not, and you're like, that's not how it works. And you're trying, like, you know, somebody who hasn't worked in the industry might think like, oh yeah, that seems legit, you know, but it's like, come on, that's not. Just stop.
Sure.
So, but at the same time, things that you might think are ridiculous in that show are totally accurate. And that's not
Good to know.
It's not to give any like secrets away or anything like that. But like the one part is like, oh, the humidity, right? Like maybe not like humidity exactly, but there are definitely things that will cancel a launch. Because in the show, they're like, well, we really want the humidity between like 30 and 50% or something like that, you know? And they're like, well, we could scrub it. We could scrub the launch. Like scrubbing launches happens frequently. So, and for various reasons. Humidity probably is one of them. But yeah. Sorry, little rant there.
It's fine. I just wasn't that impressed with it from outside, like,
sure,
non-military perspective.
Yeah.
I think
that's fair.
Steve Carell was just I hate to say it, but I think he tried too hard with his character.
Sure.
He needs to go back to being Michael on The Office.
I was just going to say, do you think they tried to make it too much like The Office?
Probably to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's fair. But
what do you do?
The Expanse
Okay.
is worth the watch, in my opinion. So,
I'll have to check it out.
yeah. What do you guys think? What are some of your favorite shows? Give us your recommendations.
What should I be watching?
Yeah. Lauren and I are looking for a new show, so let us know.
Yeah. And then beyond that, because I've been trying to cut back some on the TV and read more, give me a book recommendation.
Well, I just gave you a book to read.
I know you gave me a book to read. I'm almost done with the last one you gave me.
Good. I haven't even started the last one you gave me.
Well, thanks a lot. But no, I want to hear from everybody else. Is there a book that's like, you got to read this? Maybe it has something to do with the topics
Sure.
that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe it's,
Are you going to say no to any genres?
I mean, you can recommend any genre and I'll choose whether or not I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
So, I mean,
sure.
Yeah, shoot. Give me a Nicholas Sparks book. I just won't read it.
Okay. Easy enough. Easy enough.
Yeah.
It didn't spark your interest.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah. Dad jokes.
Yeah.
They're great. I think.
I appreciate dad jokes.
We had some good ones texting back and forth just today, right?
Was that today?
Or was it yesterday?
I don't know. Remind me.
Well, we were talking about corn.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's super in it.
Let me look.
It's a super interesting topic.
Well, we got on that from something else. I can't remember what it was.
Well, because at one point in the podcast, you said maize.
Yeah.
And
you gave me, a hard time about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I made a comment about how I was disappointed that you didn't use the word maize and you said corn.
Yeah, I did say corn. Because you gave me a hard time about saying maize.
No conviction.
Just have to search corn.
Music to my ears. Corn, that is. Ears of corn.
Yeah.
Pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Then you said you appreciated the pun. But then you had to insult me.
Yeah.
Said that you were not happy with the lack of me using the word maize.
Correct.
And then I said, your rudeness amazes me every time.
Amazes me. So dad jokes. What age do you think they really start becoming funny and not just like,
Sure. I think it's probably context.
Okay.
So who are you with? So depending on your age, if you are around your dad and your dad says the dad joke, then you roll your eyes.
Okay. Because it's an actual, like the most legitimate form of dad joke, literal form.
Right. But one of our listeners.
So who is it?
It's Josh.
Oh,
we both met him.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, shout out to you, Josh. Again,
2 weeks in
2 weeks in a row.
Oh.
You
don't get a big head, Kay. Next week it's not happening.
You pull out the dad jokes all the time. And I think most people appreciate them. His family probably doesn't appreciate that because then it's like you're hearing it from, it's the same feeling as when a dad says them. But
that's too funny.
No, I appreciate them always.
Yeah.
Personally, but maybe that's because I'm a dad.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
maybe at the inception of fatherhood,
then for sure, I think it's an automatic. It just happens.
Yeah.
I think
you have to accept the dad jokes.
You don't have to accept them. You embrace them.
That's fair.
So it's just what happens.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. Beyond that, it's context. Who are you with?
Sure.
What's the setting? But I think if I was going to say it, if I was going to put like a hard line on it,
Mm-hmm.
I think 18 plus is when you start getting into being okay with the dad jokes.
You start to really appreciate.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. What do you think?
I can get behind that. I can agree with that. Maybe even just like maybe even mid to late teens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are probably some, 15, 16-year-olds who are mature. They appreciate the good dad joke.
Probably. I mean, I think so. Let's be honest. I think everybody actually appreciates the joke,
Yeah,
but they roll their eyes because of who says it.
sure. That's
and
fair.
so, I mean,
yeah.
if you're a bystander
Yeah.
and somebody says this sweet dad joke
Yeah.
and you see somebody react, just rolling their eyes, they're just
Yeah.
not happy.
Yeah.
That just makes it even more funny.
It does. It does.
And I think
Inside,
anybody appreciates
you're
that.
cracking up.
Yeah, anybody
Yeah.
appreciates that.
Yeah.
So it's more context, I think. But yeah, if I was going to put an age, I'd say 18 plus is when you start to get, more comfortable with dad jokes.
Yeah. The just awful but hilarious dad jokes.
Yeah, do you got any good dad jokes?
I don't.
Me either. We must not be good dads. Mm-hmm.
Got to work on that. Next week, we'll come back strong.
Dad jokes. Right away.
Oh, out the gate.
Yep.
So you talk about, you watching Psych with Liz, your wife.
Yeah.
Do you still sometimes just push buttons to see if you can get a reaction out of her?
Not normally.
Okay.
I would say that it's been a long time since I have.
Okay.
But now that you bring it up, I'm totally on board with doing it. I just haven't thought about it for a while.
So this week, that's your job.
Yes. And I will report back to you on how this all shakes out.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please do.
So when you guys listen to this, I will have started this process already.
Yeah.
So start sending me some emails of encouragement, asking me how it's going. Yeah, I like this experiment. It's going to be fun.
Okay.
Anyways, continue. Yeah. So I don't do it often. Do you?
I don't want to say I do it often, but I definitely do it
And she knows you're doing it.
most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever get it where like you're kind of screwing with something and she's also trying to do something?
Not normally,
Okay.
but depending on context.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be if I'm quick enough, right? I can get like that button press in there, right? Just like a little nudge,
Sure.
and she won't know if I'm being serious or not,
Uh-huh.
depending on how good of an actor I am that day.
Right.
And how quick-witted I am at the
Right.
moment. But yeah, I do it.
Do you
I
guys
would
have a
say
Fire Stick from Amazon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the easiest thing to do it on because you can get the app for the remote on your phone.
Right.
And so you just pull that up at the same time
Sure.
and you can do whatever you want. And so every once in a while, it's happened before that we have a passcode on
Okay, yeah.
getting into certain
Sure.
streaming services. And
Sure.
it has happened before where one or the other of us will be
Okay.
trying to actually type in the real passcode and the other person just adds one. And so
Sure.
it just goes,
Yep.
jumps ahead and you're like, what is going on? What is
Yeah.
happening? And then after a little bit, you find out that it was,
The other one
yeah.
messing with you.
Yep.
That's too funny.
So
Yeah.
do that.
I will. I'll have to. Unfortunately, she's the one that actually has it on her phone, the
Oh.
app.
Gotcha.
So maybe I'll download it
You should. Yeah.
and then start
Might as
doing
well.
that this week.
Might as well.
Do you ever do that with like your kids? Do you ever like press their buttons? Because so for me, right, like it's so frustrating when your kids are whiny. right?
Sure.
I think all parents can relate.
Uh-huh.
It's frustrating. But sometimes if I'm in like a particularly good mood, I'll be like, I can handle a little bit of wine.
Sure.
So I'll like push their buttons and then, you know, uh,
Give
I'm
me an
trying to,
example.
yeah. So an example would be, you know, they're asking for, a snack, right?
Hmm.
Like let's say they want granola bars. That's fine. 95% of the time, totally am fine with giving them a granola bar,
Uh-huh.
unless it's within like an hour of a meal or something like that. But, I'll get like I'll get 3 down because we keep them up on top of the fridge. But
Okay.
I'll get like 3 down, but I'll kind of because I know they're not paying attention to me. So I'll stick one like behind the toaster oven.
Okay.
And then I'll be like, all right, guys, come here, get your granola bars. And it's just kind of luck of the draw. Whoever comes first gets the granola bars.
Okay.
And then whoever's last, I'll be like, oh, sorry, they're all gone. That's all we had.
Mm.
And then they'll like look at me and they'll try and decide whether or not I'm teasing them or not.
Right.
And then yeah, I'll do something like that. I'll be like, oh, sorry, or like, oh, I ate the other one.
Right.
And then my boys have gotten pretty wise to it at
Yep.
this point because I've done it enough. So they're
Yep.
like, you're teasing, Dad. I'll be like, no. And every now and again, like you'll see like the realization sink in that like, oh, maybe he really did eat it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just teasing. Here it is.
Yep.
And then they're like, I knew you were teasing. And it was like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me.
So I haven't gotten quite that far, but similar.
Okay.
Where
Well, your kids are also a little younger than mine.
yeah, but I mean, my daughter, I've had before where she was talking about something and wanted something, and I'll be like, we don't have any more because we don't have any more,
Sure.
right? But then I'll go on to say something like, yeah, they're all gone in the entire world, and we'll never have one again. Something like that. But so it's not like an actual thing item that's there,
Right.
but still kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't do it very often,
Okay.
just because it's more fun to do things like that to my wife.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. And you don't feel as bad either, right? Like
no,
poking fun at your wife versus poking fun at your like 4-year-old kids.
right, right.
It's like, yeah, that's fair. But the 4-year-olds are a lot easier to fool.
Maybe.
Oh, geez, really?
Well, I mean, I haven't. Maybe I should.
Has
Get a
Liz thought you've
better
been all
sample
out
size?
of something?
Well, yeah.
Entire
Sorry.
world.
Sorry,
A
Liz.
lot of them.
Yeah, no more. None of them are left. No, but just I don't know. Liz is a very trusting individual.
Okay.
And so
Good
she
for you,
doesn't
Liz.
actually believe me,
Sure.
but you can get that moment of questioning
Yeah.
where you can be like, I just make something up, and then she'll just kind of look at me,
Sure.
like trying to figure out, are you serious or not? Because she
Yeah.
does. So she's very trusting, but also not trusting of me at the same time in certain circumstances. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's incidents like that. Not, I don't do it as much now that I'm old and
So old.
yeah,
You're 30.
decrepit.
Jeez.
No, just haven't as much.
Okay.
Probably.
So what age do you think we stop doing that? Do you think you'll ever stop fully?
No, I'll get worse.
Oh,
Yeah, right now I think I think we're in a phase with
Do you
young
think it-
kids where
do you think it ebbs and flows then?
probably, yeah.
Okay.
But I think where I'm at least is in a position where we're pretty much always tired and there's
Yeah.
always something that you have to do with the kids and still try and keep your life together.
Right. Or even, it doesn't even have to be with the kids. Excuse me.
Yeah.
There's always something to do.
On top of that, because you have to make sure you're spending time with your kids
Yeah.
and getting everything else done that needs to get done.
Yeah.
And for me, working. And so, I mean, and I'm not complaining at all. It's just it's
Yeah.
the reality of the situation. So
Yeah.
what I think that's going to happen is once my kids get into their teenage years,
Mhm.
I'm going to be a disaster, and I'm just going to be pulling pranks all the time, and it's going to be great. And from then on, it's just going to get worse. Can you
Okay.
imagine that turning into an old man? It's going to be crazy. When I get put in the home, they're going to want to kick me out.
So you're gonna be
That's my goal.
pulling pranks on all the other
Yeah.
old folks.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Okay.
But
That's fair.
also, like, I want to be best friends with them too.
Okay.
Does that make my stomach look big in that picture? Be honest now. I'm kind of laying in the position of
So if you're wondering what just happened, or if why Ryan asked that, because there's a picture going on Instagram right now.
and I'm laying on the couch halfway where we're recording.
Looks good.
It looks good, but it doesn't look
Hashtag
great.
no filter.
Yeah. So speaking of that and looking good, I just want to mention publicly that I did look great today. I only look good now because I took my boss's sunglasses and they made me give them back today.
Oh.
And so pretty disappointed in that. And I don't know, went from boss of the year to just another boss.
Because you had to give back
Their sunglasses.
that you took.
Yeah.
Just the worst.
Yeah. Now we went way off topic.
Yeah, we did.
What were we talking about even?
Pushing buttons on your spouse.
Oh, yeah.
For our listeners, it doesn't have to be just your spouse. It could be your significant other.
Right.
Or, I mean, we talked a little bit about your kids, or, you know, if you're a younger listener, maybe it's your parents.
Right. So were you meaning, like, when you ask at what point do you stop, were you talking age? Or were you
Yeah.
talking like at what point do you stop before you start an argument? Because
Ooh.
that's where I was going with it.
That's not where I was going, but I think that's probably better than where I was going.
Well,
So, yeah, what point?
let's
How often, percentage wise, would you say that when you do it, you think you're going to be okay to stop, but you accidentally maybe press it a little too far?
85% of the time.
85% of the time you press it too far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a fair number. How about you?
I would probably go a little lower, but not a lot.
Okay.
So maybe like 10% lower, 75% of the time.
Well, and the problem is you get, I can't help it that when I start doing it, Liz laughs and says, stop doing that, but is laughing.
Right?
And so then I start laughing and we're
Yeah.
laughing together.
Yeah.
And then at some point she just gets upset with me about it.
That's fair. I kind of to go along with that. A lot of the times, yeah, I'll be doing something and I think it's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it is. And I'll start laughing, but then she'll be like, you need to stop laughing. But she'll start laughing. And
Oh,
then-
that's not fair.
I know.
Then you
Yeah.
have to keep laughing.
Right?
You're
I know.
laughing together. It's
See-
romantic.
Well, I don't know if I'd say that, but but yeah, I mean, if she starts laughing because I'm laughing, I mean, you should know. I love you.
Yeah.
Lauren, you know I love you. That's why I've been married for over 8 years.
Nice work.
Thanks, man. How long have you guys been married?
Over 7.
Okay. So 8 is what month for you?
8 would be July. Beginning
July
of
of
July
21.
of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, mid-May of 2021 will be 9.
About a year.
Yep.
Difference.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that pushing buttons is part of it.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
Yeah.
And
And I think you do it when you date, but when you're dating,
it's cute.
yeah. And things,
ooh, teasing me.
yeah, right. And so many things just slide by.
So let me ask you this, Jordan.
Yeah.
Who actually changed in that situation? Not you and I.
Constance in the marriage. Us.
We need to have a sit down with our wives.
Perfect.
And
I see this going well.
But no, conflict is good. The right kind of conflict is good.
Yeah.
And to me, when Liz is trying to sleep and I'm pushing her buttons and trying to keep her awake and annoying her
Yeah.
because I find it entertaining, I'll just keep talking or I'll any number of things I've learned that I can do to annoy her when she's trying to go to sleep, because sleep is her like number one must have it. Go to bed early, loves sleeping, gets really cranky if you don't let her sleep.
Mm. I feel like that's most of us, though.
Yeah. But it doesn't take much for me to get her really upset when it's time for bed.
That's fair, I suppose.
It's I did that this week, so I guess I push her buttons fairly often. But I was laughing about something, and then I kept bugging her about it. And yeah, I can, if I find something and I sense annoyance, I'm just gonna drive that into the dirt and continue annoying.
And this is why 85% of the time you don't stop.
Yeah, but I'm laughing and then she's laughing, and it's how we express our love to one another.
That's fair. No, I get it. And I would be willing to wager a lot of other people do as well.
Yeah.
Let us know if you do. Or do you not do that? Are we weird?
Yeah,
we just annoy our wives and are terrible, terrible people? Because
that could be a real reality. And now the world knows about it.
I know.
But at the same time, though, I think it's good.
What?
I think it's good.
Sure.
Yeah.
The thunder and lightning is crazy out right now.
Yeah. Did you get that?
Probably not.
I heard it.
Did you?
I feel like it. So before we close out this episode,
incriminate ourselves further,
I just want to say I'm so sorry, Liz, for all the things I annoy you about. And you and I were soulmates, and it's meant to be. And just know that I try my hardest, and I love you so very much. And you and I are like birds.
Okay.
We fly together.
And that 85% comes out, and we've gone too far.
But seriously, she puts up with me.
Yeah,
That's a cool deal.
Same with Lauren for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Lauren, I love you too. I'm not going to go on some big spiel, but.
All right.
Awesome. Well, guys, with that, we really appreciate you guys listening. And I realize we haven't done a sponsor last week or this week. We'll get back to that in the upcoming week.
Once you sponsor us.
Yeah. Or, once we have a good thing to sponsor. But we do appreciate you guys all listening. It really means a lot to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Come back next week. Every Monday morning at midnight.
That's
12
right.
a.m.
That's right. New episode will release. That's right. So, awesome.
All right. Have a good week. Couch potatoes.
Bye.